Another installment of This Day in the United States Automotive Industry History. Today we will cover automotive history events that happened on October 23rd. If you are ready, let's roll. October 23rd, 1889, a designer who shaped the 1930s is born. Early life and entry into design. Amos Earl Northup was born on October 23rd, 1889, in Bellevue, Ohio. From the start, he was drawn to design. He attended the Cleveland Polytechnic Institute, where he studied under Henry G. Keller, learning the fundamentals of design and aesthetics. Before diving into automobiles, Northup worked in furniture and interior design, giving him a grounding in proportion, form, and surface. Transitioning to automotive styling. Northup made his move into the car business by first designing trucks and bodies for automakers. For example, he worked for Pierce Arrow, a luxury U.S. car company, doing styling work, then for Will St. Clair under Child Wills. Around 1924, Northup joined the Murray Corporation of America, a bodybuilding supply company, where he oversaw production bodies for automakers that didn't have in-house design. Signature works and innovations. One of his early notable contributions, the 1928 Hupmobile Century 8, produced via Murray. His command of form and detail started showing in full. At the Willys Overland Company, he became art director and chief designer in 1928. He worked on the 1929 Whippet and 1929 Willys Nightlines. These became stylistic stepping stones. His masterpiece, the 1932 Graham Blue Streak for Graham Page. Northup introduced features like more enclosed fenders, a sloped grille, and moving the radiator cap under the hood. These innovations would ripple through the industry. Automotive historian Hugo Fau described Northup's sense of proportion as superb, noting he had a feeling for the flow of complex curved surfaces. He was truly a sculptor in sheet metal, legacy and why it matters. Although Northup died relatively young in 1937 after a fall on an icy sidewalk, his influence lived on. He helped shift U.S. car design from the carriage with engine look toward more integrated, purposeful styling. In simple terms, he made cars look like cars of the modern era, sleeker, more flowing, better proportioned, and many independent automakers used his styling as their edge in a market dominated by giants. When we mark October 23rd in automotive history, it's not just remembering a birth date, it's remembering the birth of a design vision that shaped how American cars looked and felt. October 23rd, 1899, Federal Good Roads leadership shift. On this day, Roy Stone resigns as head of the Federal Road Agency, the Office of Road Inquiry, and Martin Dodge is appointed director by President William McKinley. Picture America in the late 1800s, horses, wagons, muddy tracks, and a growing number of early automobiles. Roads are rough, and driving or even riding a bicycle can feel like an adventure through mud and ruts. In 1893, the federal government created the Office of Road Inquiry, ORI, to study how roads could be improved across the country. Roy Stone, a veteran civil engineer and military general, became the agency's first chief. Under his leadership, the ORI began mapping out how to build better roads, how to test materials, and how to share that knowledge with states. Fast forward to October 23rd, 1899, Roy Stone steps down, officially resigns from his director role. On the very same day, Martin Dodge takes over as permanent director of the ORI. He had previously served as acting director when Stone was temporarily away. Martin Dodge comes from Ohio. He's been deeply involved in the Good Roads movement, recognizing that better roads don't just help cars, but help farmers, schools, mail delivery, commerce, and rural life. Under his watch, the ORI begins to expand its role, giving advice to states, developing road building training, and turning engineering research into practical work. This leadership change matters because it signals a move from small-scale experiments and advocacy into organization and policy building. Dodge's tenure sets many foundational practices for what will become the modern federal highway system, such as standardizing how we think about road materials, construction methods, and the role of government in infrastructure. Why it matters for automotive history. Without better roads, the automobile could have never become the mass transport device that it did. Rough roads limited speed, safety, and access. The ORI under Stone and then Dodge helps create a nationwide framework so that cars, trucks, bicycles, and other vehicles can use reliable infrastructure. This October 23rd moment is a key infrastructure pivot, the moment when federal leadership shifted, enabling the Good Roads movement to scale. Many of the automotive advances that follow, car design, mass production, long-distance travel, assume a reliable road network. So this event is not just about roads, it's about the foundation of automobile culture in America. October 23, 1909 marked a pivotal moment in automotive history with the Portola Road Race. This exciting event gathered numerous spectators and showcased the thrilling innovations in automobile technology. Story overview. On October 23, 1909, in Alameda County, California, the Portola Road Race roared into action, an endurance road race event held over public roads as part of the Portola Festival, which celebrated the San Francisco Bay region's renewal after the 1906 earthquake. The start-finish line was near Foothill Boulevard in Oakland. What happened? Driver Jack Fleming, behind the wheel of a 40-horsepower Pope Hartford, tackled a 21.18-mile circuit 12 times, or 254 miles, through Melrose, San Leandro, and Hayward. His average speed, 64.51 miles per hour, breaking the then record for a road race. A massive crowd, estimated 200,000 to 300,000 spectators, watched the event. The race carried serious risk. At least one spectator died after being struck by a flying tire retaining ring. Multiple accidents occurred because the roads weren't built for high-speed cars. Why it matters. Road racing on public infrastructure. Unlike dedicated tracks, this event used open county roads, hills, curves, surfaces not tailored for racing. It shows how early auto sport pushed infrastructure and safety to adapt. Speed milestone. Fleming's 64.5 miles per hour average for 4 hours is remarkable in 1909 terms, demonstrating that the automobile and driver were ready to push farther and faster. Cultural and regional symbol. The Portola Festival race was part of the Bay Area's post-quake resurgence. Hosting an auto race of this scale signaled confidence in modern mobility and technology. Design and engineering pressure. Events like this helped accelerate vehicle development, more reliable engines, better tires, safer brakes, improved chassis, all driven by real-world endurance demands. Legacy of risk and regulation. The accidents at the 1909 race, spectator injuries and deaths, foreshadowed the need for better safety regulation, crowd control, and purpose-built circuits, a theme that echoes in racing history. Talk it out in the comments. Here are 4 topics that may be interesting to leave a thought or two about in the comments. Why was using public roads for racing both exciting and dangerous in 1909? What engineering or safety improvements might have followed events like this? How does the Bay Area's recovery after the 1906 earthquake tie into hosting big auto events in 1909? How do we measure progress in mobility when speed, road quality, and risk all climb together? What do you think? Do you have any opinions about these topics? Let me know in the comments. October 23, 1962 marked a significant milestone in American infrastructure as the Federal Aid Highway Act was signed into law. This landmark legislation aimed to improve the nation's highways, promoting safer and more efficient transportation across the country. When America learned that building highways wasn't enough, it had to start planning them. Setting the scene, by the early 1960s, the United States was laced with brand new concrete ribbons called interstates. Families were taking summer road trips, suburbs were booming, and car culture was everywhere. But there was a problem. The same highways that connected cities were cutting through others. Neighborhoods were being divided, and traffic was spilling into downtown streets that were never meant for it. People began asking tough questions. Who decides where roads go? How do we protect communities while we build progress? October 23, 1962, a signature that changed the map. On this date, President John F. Kennedy signed a short piece of legislation with long-term impact, the Federal Aid Highway Act of 1962. The law introduced something brand new for America's transportation network, the 3C process: continuing, comprehensive, and cooperative planning. That meant cities, states, and the federal government had to work together to decide how transportation would shape growth, not just for highways, but for public transit, freight, and people's daily travel. For the first time, federal funding was tied to urban transportation planning. No plan, no money. Why it matters. Before 1962, building a highway was mostly an engineering project. Pour concrete, open lanes, move on. After the act, it became a community project. The law required planners to study how roads affected housing, businesses, and the environment decades before environmental impact became a household term. It even started federal relocation assistance for people forced to move when highways expanded through towns. In simple terms, the 1962 Act shifted America from building roads fast to building them smart. Legacy on the road today. Every time a city holds a public hearing about a new bridge, transit line, or highway expansion, it's following rules born from this moment in 1962. The 3C planning framework still forms the backbone of modern transportation policy. It's the reason we talk about metropolitan planning organizations, EMPOs, and long-range traffic models today. Without it, our map of America might be full of roads, but missing the sense of connection between people and place. How about 3 more topics to discuss in the comments? How can planning make transportation more fair or sustainable? What do you think the biggest challenge was for cities in 1962 when highways began entering dense areas? Do you think the 3C process still works in today's era of electric and autonomous vehicles? Leave a comment or two and let the world know what you think. October 23, 1963, marked a significant milestone as Ford officially green-lighted the Bronco project. This decision led to the development of an iconic vehicle that would become synonymous with adventure and off-road capability. On this date, the product planning team at the Ford Motor Company officially received a recommendation to allocate funding for further development of a new off-road utility vehicle, codenamed Bronco. It's the early 1960s. SUVs don't yet dominate driveways. The off-road adventure vehicle is mostly the domain of the military, Jeeps, or specialty manufacturers. Ford sees an opportunity. Throughout 1962 and into 1963, Ford begins surveying owners of the Jeep CJ5 and the International Harvester Scout. They ask, "What do you like about your vehicle? What do you hate?" Their findings: comfort is poor, ride is rough, noise and vibration are high, size is either too big or too small. So, on October 23, 1963, Ford's Product Planning Committee receives the formal suggestion, funds for further development of a Ford utility vehicle, codenamed Bronco. Within the next week, an internal memo uses the subject heading 1966 G.O.A.T, with G.O.A.T standing for Goes Over Any Terrain, a clever nickname hinting at the vehicle's mission, a go-anywhere machine. Why it matters. This memo marks the birth of one of America's first true sport utility vehicles, a car built neither purely as a sedan nor a truck, but something in between. T. By recognizing market gaps, comfort, ride, noise, power, and surveying real users of off-road trucks, Ford showed that design today meant listening before building. That G.O.A.T memo foreshadows how the Bronco would be marketed and how the SUV segment would evolve. Utility, versatility, lifestyle. Many modern SUVs trace their DNA to that moment, October 23, 1963, is a turning point in vehicle development logic. Legacy on the road today. When the first-generation Bronco launched for the 1966 model year, it stood on its own platform, offered four-wheel drive as standard, and aimed at both trails and highways. Today's massive SUV market, where vehicles are expected to be comfortable on pavement yet capable off it, can trace its lineage to that October day, 1963, when a memo set the wheels in motion. A few items for comment discussion. Why do you think Ford surveyed Jeep and Scout owners before recommending the new vehicle? How does assigning a code name like Bronco and subject heading G.O.A.T help convey engineering and marketing intent? In what ways is the SUV concept now so dominant that we almost forget it started as a distinct idea? Let me know what you think in the comments about these discussion points. October 23, 1988, Rusty Wallace versus The Rock. A gritty victory that showed NASCAR's new generation was ready to challenge the legends. It's a cool Sunday in Rockingham, North Carolina, October 23, 1988. The air hums with the sound of V8s, 500 miles of racing ahead, and tens of thousands of fans packed into North Carolina Motor Speedway, known simply as The Rock. By the late 1980s, NASCAR is growing fast. TV deals are booming, sponsor colors fill every corner, and new stars are stepping up to challenge the established heroes. On this day, Rusty Wallace, the hard-charging driver from Missouri, is ready to prove that he belongs among the best. The AC Delco 500 wasn't just another late-season race, it was a battle for momentum in a year dominated by two powerhouses, Bill Elliott and Rusty Wallace. Elliott, the smooth Georgian in the red and white number 9 Coors Melling Ford Thunderbird, starts on pole and leads more than 200 laps, setting a fierce pace. But Wallace, driving the sleek number 27 Kodiak Pontiac for Blue Max Racing, is relentless. He stalks Elliott lap after lap, using the corners of Rockingham's worn, abrasive track to his advantage. Rockingham isn't a glamorous superspeedway, it's a driver's track. The rough surface chews up tires, and the steep banking demands focus. With the laps winding down, Wallace grabs the lead for good. He crosses the line first, earning his 5th win of the 1988 season and 3rd straight victory, cementing his reputation as one of the toughest racers of his generation. This win helped catapult Wallace into elite status. He finished 2nd in the overall championship that year, but became a clear title favorite for 1989, which he would later win. The late 80s were a golden time for competition, Ford, Chevrolet, and Pontiac all winning races. Rusty's Pontiac victory showed that smaller teams could still take down factory-backed giants. As races like this hit national broadcasts, Wallace's fiery style and no-nonsense personality made him a fan favorite. He was fast, unfiltered, and fully committed, a perfect TV hero for NASCAR's modern age. The track, nicknamed The Rock, became known as a proving ground for drivers who could handle old-school, tire-eating challenges, not just horsepower. How did Rusty Wallace's driving style differ from drivers like Bill Elliott or Dale Earnhardt? Why were tracks like Rockingham so important to the identity of NASCAR's working-class roots? How did televised races in the late 80s help turn regional racing into a national phenomenon? Leave a comment about these talking points or anything else on your mind. October 23, 1989, the passing of Edmund E. Anderson. The designer who made small cars smart, stylish, and American, Edmund E. Anderson was born in Indiana in 1906 and became one of the unsung heroes of mid-century American car design. He started his career at General Motors, working under the legendary Harley Earl, who is widely regarded as the father of automotive styling. From Earl, Anderson learned that a car's shape could be as powerful as its engine, that style could sell. After his time at GM, Anderson joined Nash Motors in the 1940s and quickly became known for his clean, space-efficient designs. He rose through the ranks to become Chief of Design for Nash Kelvinator and later American Motors Corporation after the companies merged in 1954. In the post-war years, American automakers were obsessed with bigger cars, more chrome, and more horsepower. But Anderson saw a different future, one where small cars made sense for families, cities, and budgets. His masterpiece was the 1950 Nash Rambler, one of the first truly successful compact cars built in the United States. Unlike tiny imported cars, the Rambler felt upscale. Two-tone paint, enclosed wheels, a modern unibody design, and clever use of interior space. It was efficient, affordable, and fashionable, a combination few thought possible at the time. The Nash Rambler's compact size and smooth styling helped it survive the Korean War production restrictions of 1951 to 1952, when smaller cars had a huge advantage in conserving materials. Its success essentially saved Nash Motors from financial collapse. When Nash and Hudson merged to form American Motors Corporation in 1954, Anderson continued to guide design. He worked closely with AMC President George Romney, who pushed the company to focus on economy and practicality instead of size wars with GM, Ford, and Chrysler. Together, Anderson and Romney turned small into a selling point. Under Anderson's leadership, AMC introduced the Rambler American in 1958, a redesigned version of the original compact car. Its clean look and affordable price helped AMC post record profits at a time when the Big Three were struggling to sell their oversized models. After decades in design, Anderson retired quietly to Minnesota, where he continued to sketch and consult. He passed away on October 23, 1989, in Baudette, Minnesota, at age 83. His death didn't make front-page headlines, but his work lived on in every small car that balanced style with sense. Today, when you see a modern compact car, sleek, practical, and well-proportioned, you're seeing Anderson's philosophy at work. Why it matters, visionary for small cars. Anderson championed compact cars before it was fashionable, years before the oil crises of the 1970s made efficiency a priority. Balanced design and function, he refused to make small cars look cheap, proving good design wasn't just for luxury vehicles. Independent spirit. His design work helped AMC carve out a niche against the big three automakers, keeping the company alive for decades. Cultural legacy, Anderson's Ramblers helped shape mid-century suburban mobility, stylish, efficient, and approachable. Here are a few suggestions for discussion in the comments. How did Anderson's approach to car design differ from the bigger is better mindset of the 1950s? Why was it risky for Nash and AMC to bet on small cars in that era? In what ways did the Ramblers' success change how Americans viewed compact cars? Share your thoughts in the comments. October 23, 1994, marks a legendary moment in NASCAR history when Dale Earnhardt tied the King, Richard Petty's championship record. This achievement symbolized the pinnacle of his racing career. Dale Earnhardt, known as the Intimidator, exhibited fearless driving and charisma. By 1994, he had already claimed 6 Winston Cup championships, showcasing his dominance on the track. The victory at the North Carolina Speedway during the AC Delco 500 was decisive. Earnhardt not only won the race, but also clinched his 7th NASCAR Winston Cup Series championship with 2 races to spare. This record-tying win propelled Earnhardt into an elite status within motorsports. Only Richard Petty had previously reached this milestone, making it a significant achievement in the racing world. The drama of clinching the title and winning simultaneously added layers of excitement. It highlighted Earnhardt's ability to perform under pressure, making a bold statement in NASCAR history. By 1994, NASCAR was gaining national attention, and Earnhardt's victory elevated the sport's visibility. His accomplishments transformed NASCAR into a big business, attracting media and sponsorships. In the comments, consider the impact of clinching a championship early. Does it give a win more meaning? What unique qualities allowed Earnhardt to achieve this feat? How does this tie to Petty influence a driver's legacy? October 23, 1999, was a landmark day in drag racing, marked by 2 significant milestones at the Texas Motorplex. One driver celebrated his first big win, while another secured a record-setting championship. John Force clinched his 9th NHRA Funny Car Championship against Tommy Johnson Jr. in a historic final, while Tony Schumacher earned his first national event Top Fuel victory, signaling the start of his future dominance. The significance of these achievements cannot be overstated. John Force solidified his legendary status with consistent performances, while Tony Schumacher's breakthrough win set the stage for an impressive career ahead. This day illustrated a generational shift in the sport, as the older guard like Force faced strong competition from new stars like Schumacher. The rare occurrence of both milestones on the same day highlights the evolution of drag racing. At a broader level, this event showcases the growth of drag racing as records are shattered and performances reach new heights. The sport is becoming increasingly professional with more high-stakes competitions. Now, let's engage in a conversation about the impact of these milestones. What does winning a first major event mean for a driver's career, and why is it so significant? Also, reflect on John Force's experience, having 9 championships and still striving for more. What pressures accompany such dominance? Finally, consider the role of venues like the Texas Motorplex in shaping motorsport history. How do they contribute to creating these milestone moments? Calling out all NHRA fans, I want to hear your thoughts. October 23, 2005, Jeff Gordon's Martinsville victory. A veteran champion reasserts himself at NASCAR's toughest short track. Jeff Gordon is one of NASCAR's most successful drivers with multiple championships and hundreds of wins. By 2005, he was a veteran of the sport, known for smooth driving and adapting to changes. On October 23, 2005, Jeff Gordon won the Subway 500 at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. The competition was fierce, with Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson pushing hard as Gordon aimed for victory. Gordon took the lead around lap 360 in a race filled with cautions and intense track battles. Why it matters. Short track mastery. Martinsville is the shortest track on the Cup schedule, known for hard contact and strategic passes. Winning there is a badge of respect. Veteran resurgence. For Gordon, This win showed he still had the skill to win under pressure, despite younger drivers rising in the sport. Team milestone. The victory was significant for his team, as crew chief Steve Letarte earned his first win in this position. Chase dynamics. This win highlighted the competitiveness of the sport and showcased a performance-focused mindset, even as Gordon wasn't in clear championship contention that year. Let me know what you think about these discussion points. What makes short tracks like Martinsville different from larger speedways in terms of driving style and strategy? How does the experience of a veteran like Gordon compare with newer, younger drivers in high-pressure situations? Why might a win at a difficult track matter more for legacy than a win at a regular track? Leave your thoughts for all of us to see them. October 23rd, 2024 marks a significant moment in NASCAR history as Bobby Allison's 85th Cup victory gets officially recognized. Decades later, a legend's record is righted, and history takes another lap. Bobby Allison is a storied figure in American stock car racing. As a three-time Daytona 500 winner and 1983 Cup champion, he's a longtime member of NASCAR's prestigious Alabama gang and a fixture among the sport's top drivers. On October 23, 2024, NASCAR officially recognized a long-disputed victory for Bobby Allison from 1971. This adjustment brought his career total to 85 Cup wins, positioning him in sole possession of fourth place on NASCAR's all-time wins list, ahead of Darrell Waltrip. This win was significant because the race ran under unusual circumstances, combining Grand National and Grand American cars. For over 5 decades, the result wasn't counted, but NASCAR's decision in 2024 corrected this oversight, finally honoring Allison's achievement from 1971. The recognition of this victory rewrites Allison's record in NASCAR's storied history. Winning in 1971 gives him a significant boost in his legacy, as wins are paramount in how drivers are judged over time. This event highlights a crucial aspect of sports history, particularly in motorsports. It demonstrates that records are not always permanent, but can be subject to revision based on new insights and clarifications. So, what are your thoughts on this historic decision? Why do you think it took so long to officially credit this victory? Join the discussion in the comment section below. Hey all! Before you go, don't miss this. Here is a video selected just for you by YouTube to watch next. Go ahead, click the video you know you want to. I'll see you there.